Just to tell you what it is at, so that you are hopefully at the right place, I'm going to just talk about really how hotels can increase bookings on their websites. So driving more direct bookings for hotels. Is that what you're here for? Okay, great. Yes, good. At least a couple of hoteliers, which is great. But please, at any stage, particularly as there are so few of us, interrupt me and we can talk about something else or anything else you find interesting at any moment. That's fine. I've got, I guess, 4 key areas I wanted to go through, a little bonus section about A/B testing and the challenges and the risks of it, but we can do that if there's time and if you're interested, because you may be bored after 10 minutes. A brief bit about me. So this is the Corinthia Hotel in London. This is where three years ago, myself and some friends, we started working from here. We couldn't afford an office. We decided we were going to start a new business. So we spent 3 months in the business center at London's best hotel because no one's ever in there. They've got great computers and free printing and Wi-Fi. So we worked from the Corinthia for like 3 months. And while we were there, we were kind of working out, right, what are the major issues hotels are facing and how can we help hotels? And we realized that driving direct bookings was where it's at and the biggest challenge facing the industry. So that's really what we focused on for the last couple of years. We spent a while trying a few different things that didn't really work. And then a year ago, launched a new set of products that took off. And so Tripsy today, I guess a year ago we were 10 people, now we're 60 people, 8,000 hotels we work with, and growing quite quickly. So and before this I was running we haven't taken over the Corinthia, no. They are a client, happy client. Before this I ran a research and analytics data business that I built up after graduating in engineering from Oxford. So that's it about me. Great, any questions? No, I'll charge on. And equally, if I go too quickly, please put your hand up and say, slow down. I'm no hotel background whatsoever. No, my background's really engineering and online. My business partner, Alex, she brings that. So she was global head of strategy at IHG for 6 years. So she's got a lot of that. But good question. Okay, so DirectorsBets, that's what we're real believers in. And everything we do is about increasing direct bookings for hotels. And so really that's what the focus of this talk is going to be about. So why do we believe that there we go, and ask a little bit about us. I always forget, sorry, I have to do a little bit of the background. So there are 4 different kind of products we offer the market that help hotels increase direct bookings. So it starts with a data platform. So we're tracking hotel prices, the rates that other people are charging, the OTA rates for that hotel, to make sure that the hotels and the OTAs keep in parity. Price check, which is a little widget that sits on hotel websites to increase conversion. Enchantment messaging, which is like abandonment, cart abandonment, so someone's about to leave the hotel website and we encourage them to stay and book. And remarketing, so using the data we know about guests who visited the website, when they're then elsewhere on the internet, when they're browsing other pages, we might serve them adverts depending on their behavior. So anyway, that's enough about us. So why is direct best? Why is it that hotels, if you ask them what their biggest challenge is this year, they say direct? I think there's a bunch of reasons. So the first one is relationships. Hospitality, after all, is a relationship business. It's about people. And to not have a booking that starts direct, you're instantly putting a middleman, a third party, in the way of you and a relationship with a person. And that person-to-person communication is really important. Maybe it's about welcoming people before they arrive at the hotel. But it's just kicking off that relationship as early as possible, I think, is the best way to start, right? You know more about your property and the area you are than anybody else. And the closer your relationship with the guest, the more likely you are to be able to give them what they're after. Anticipation. There was this great study done in Holland a few years ago that showed that you get more additional happiness, more enjoyment, more pleasure from the anticipation of travel than you do from the actual holiday. That's quite cool, right? So does this have a little pointer? I'm not sure, maybe. Oh yeah, there we go. So here, this is the holiday period. Here you can see the vacation. So that's a 2-week vacation, I think it is. In the 8 weeks building up to the vacation, this is a normal person here. That's how happy they are. But they get this much happier because they know they're about to go on holiday. As you can see, when they're on the vacation, they are their happiest. But the total volume of happiness that is derived in anticipation is greater than the total volume of happiness than you get on the vacation. That's kind of extraordinary, right? I mean, it's extraordinary. You know it to be true. It's not that surprising, but they went and proved it. So if anticipation is part of what you're paying for, then surely a direct booking needs to be the best way to start because you can drive up anticipation and people's satisfaction. We want end-to-end customer experience. Okay, why else? For the big brands, of course, if the big brands, Hilton, Marriott, and the like, aren't driving direct bookings, if those big brands don't get people coming onto brand.com, then all the real estate owners who are paying franchise fees really start asking questions, which they're beginning to. You know, maybe we don't need to be paying the big brand. Maybe we should just be a hotel that relies on reviews on TripAdvisor and bookings on booking.com. And it's a real risk for the big brands, right? It's one of the reasons this is such a strategic, important goal. An active choice. There's a great book, which I highly recommend you read, by Chip Connolly, who set up Joie de Vivre hotels, I guess in the 80s, 90s, in San Francisco, and now he's on the board at Airbnb. And he wrote a book all about how do you deliver a sort of peak experience to your guests and also to your staff. And one of the things he always talks about in his book is when they started taking bookings via OTAs at his hotels, he found that the visitors were less likely to have made an active choice about, this is definitely the hotel for me, this is the place I want. They're more likely to have just gone, okay, it's about the right price, I'm in. They didn't buy into the experience in the same way. And the result was that they were left worse reviews in places like TripAdvisor, and they also made the staff less happy. So everything, it has such a knock-on effect if guests are making a decision to book direct and with you. Anyway, read the book and you'll get more about it. Loyalty. Again, you can increase loyalty if you've got a starting conversation. And then this is the one I find really interesting, digital innovation. If you think about all the things right now that we're going to be seeing over the next 3-4 years that improve guests' experience, so many of those things start with and need to begin with a direct booking. Because it might be checking in on your mobile phone app before you arrive at the hotel. It may be when you're in your room using your phone to have a chat message with the concierge about where to go for dinner. All of those kind of innovations that we see coming, start best with a direct booking. So a few of those examples of those sort of Virgin hotels who have a comfort assistant with the hotel who does all manner of different things like ordering room service, running the spa, having a chat. That can't begin. You can't have those conversations unless you've got an interaction, a way of interacting with the guest. Equally, upselling ancillaries, which is something that we expect to see a lot more of. So one of the other things I do, apart from TripTease, is I'm on the advisory board of British Airways. And we've seen a massive increase in the revenue we're getting from ancillaries in the airline industry, and hotels are yet to follow that. And again, if you don't have that direct relationship, you can't get them. So that's a long list of things, and only right at the bottom do I say, oh, and by the way, you also have to pay third parties quite a lot of money these days if they don't book direct. But that's the reason I wanted to spend 3 minutes going through this was that I think when people think about direct, they just focus on this. Because commissions is real, it's big, it's scary, and it's increasing. But these are very, very important strategic reasons why you need to be pushing direct as well. It's not just about the money, although that obviously helps. Okay, any questions, thought about why direct is important? Disagreements, challenges, things I missed out? No, great, okay, then we'll press on. So the other reason why, I'm really, when I know this session's called Website Masterclass, but it's very much focused on direct and how you drive direct, is because we're at a unique moment in time. I really believe in the second half of 2015, things started to change for the hotel industry, and people sat up and took notice. And the sweeping changes that we're beginning to see in the industry, which I think might take 2, 3, 4 years to play out, are going to have a really big impact on where people are booking. This is an example from a British newspaper that happens also to be, I think, the #1 newspaper read online in America. Hotel guests are being fleeced by online travel agents, so there's beginning to be an awareness amongst consumers about hotels' desire to have people book direct. Equally, hotel associations are starting to lobby. I've got to admit on this one, I didn't look deep into the detail of statistics and how they got them. And I suspect it may be quite a biased claim. But the point is that the lobbying's beginning. Just last week, the House of Lords in the UK issued a demand that OTAs are looked into for anti-competitive behavior. So there's just this ongoing consumer groundswell. Equally, last summer we saw Marriott start its campaign saying, book direct please, on YouTube. We saw Accor launch their members rate here that's cheaper and very simple, easy way to join in. We've just seen Marriott this month launch their closed user group member rate that is cheaper than the OTAs. So there's just this massive groundswell. And then, of course, Hilton, their biggest ad advertising ever is about booking direct. So my point, the reason why I thought this is worth touching on, is that we can't expect consumers to suddenly get the message and change their behavior in 3-4 months. That's not going to happen. But what I do believe is going to happen is with big brand after big brand, and the little hotels we're seeing as well, starting to offer better incentives to book direct, and starting to talk about that message more and more, suddenly that becomes the single key thing I think you can do on your website to increase conversion more than anything else, is latching into this message, because it's something that, that the world's waking up to. And of course, so Priceline are waking up to it too. So Darren Houston recently saying he does not appreciate hotels asking people to book direct. Well, I'm not surprised he doesn't, but he's going to have to put up with it, because that's sadly the way things are going now. And even Expedia as well came out last month, Dara, saying that they were trying to basically do all manner of things to make sure that hoteliers didn't drive people direct. Yes, please, question. Oh, we've got a microphone coming to you.
The online travel agents make us sign a contract to say we won't undercut the rate we've given them. So if you're going to start, maybe some contractual agreements you've entered into.
Yeah.
So think before you start cutting your rate. Thanks.
So, the question, if you didn't hear it, was, or the point was that, but the OTAs are making us sign contracts that say we can't have different prices. Well, of course, in France and Germany, within the last year, that's been cancelled. They're not allowed to enforce those contracts. And also in the UK, that was one of the things the House of Lords asked for. And what the UK, what the House of Lords are pushing is that actually then there's another European, basically under European competition policy, those two countries should not have gone off and made their own decisions and come back. It made the EU look a little bit silly, and they're a little embarrassed of it, and they are probably now more likely to actually kick off a combined investigation. So it may change across Europe, and if it happens in Europe, it may spread. But at the same time, the hotels are doing it themselves, right? Marriott, Accor, having these closed user group rates, which are cheaper, and under closed user groups you're allowed to, that's just driving the awareness that hotels sometimes have best rates. So I would recommend like closed user groups as a starting point. Sorry. Oh yeah, and of course the OTAs, HRS, as mentioned here, the OTAs are offering closed user group rates. That's the mad thing about this world we live in. It's just like one non-stop fight. Dying of the dinosaurs? You mean the OTAs? Or no? I think the big. No. Don't get me wrong. I'm not anti-OTA, and nor do I think the OTAs are going away. I just think they are a little bit bigger in the market than is sustainable long term. I think that's why I think there will be some compression, but then they're not going anywhere, right? Right. Yeah. I think so, just as people book airlines more direct, I think people are going to move. Not all, because the OTAs deliver a great service, right? The comparison, there's no doubt, there's no question. It's just about amounts. I think the extent to which they dominate is going to be curtailed. Yeah, let's go. Questions all the way. This is fun.
Yeah. Hello. Rate parity. So how
do you stimulate differentiation? Right, differentiated rates. Closed user groups.
Forget the rate.
Oh, right. Against other hotels. Right. So wait, is the question, how as a hotel should we differentiate our hotel against other hotels? That is a really good question. I'm not the expert on helping you with that, I'm afraid. I'm sure there are here, no doubt, but I'm not going to jump in on, I don't know. I'm sorry. I'll try and come back to that at the end and think about it, but, okay, so anyway, so we're clear that there's this massive opportunity right now to fix this, and there's a real benefit for hotels. So now to get to some actual, hard things that hotels are doing or can be doing, and a lot of it is very simple. It's not yet commonplace. So the first one is just having clear benefits. Like, if you want someone to book direct, why should they? You've got to give them reasons. Now, often, a lot of the reasons for booking direct, just like if you're on Booking.com or Expedia, a lot of the reasons for booking on Expedia and Booking.com aren't actually differentiated, but they still increase conversion, right? So, for example, a little lock next to your credit card details, which makes you feel secure, or a little tick that says best price guarantee or whatever. These things, which are common, actually just drive up conversion. If the OTA is using something like that, often you can the same. So some of these benefits will be things like, I can't quite see it, online reservation guarantee, no booking fees. That's not exactly differentiated, no booking fees, but it is still something that provides some reassurance. Some of my favorites I've seen recently for some of our clients, one of them has book direct, get a free pineapple in your room, which, you know, I think is a good enough reason. That's the kind of, I think that maybe is the kind of thing that you need to think about if you've got to get around those OTA contracts. Give them the little subtle giveaways. Anyway, clear benefits for booking direct. And a better price is obviously the main one of those. So this is from Pestana's website. As you can see, they've got a closed user group rate. And there's a really good example, actually, of making the flow of the booking engine just really easy to get the closed user group rate. So you want to reduce the friction in finding out, uncovering, and joining the closed user group as much as possible. And there's some good examples out there. A cause is quite good too. But basically, closed user groups, we're going to see a lot more of these in the coming year. And I'm seeing them for small hotel groups, even when they've only got 5, 6 hotels starting to do this. And sorry, I should just say as well, that's a bit of a US-European mindset. I don't know well enough the Middle Eastern customer and their preparedness to become part of closed user groups. But anyway, hopefully it follows. Managing parity. So this is a chart from one of our clients who, this is on the y-axis we've got here is the undercut rate. This is how frequently the OTAs undercut them. So even though we know there's a parity agreement and the OTA price is meant to equal the hotel price, what we tend to see is that about 27% of the time, the OTA is undercutting the hotel. They may only be undercutting by $1, a cent, a small amount, but they're undercutting the hotel. And it may be that it's not on purpose, that it's they're showing a cached rate that hasn't been updated. Or it may be that they're playing around with their currency conversion. Or it may be that they are doing it on purpose. We definitely see all types. The point is, the OTAs monitor the hotels and hit them when they're not managing parity very well, and hotels need to do the same to the OTAs. Because you can be sure the OTAs know all the games. We particularly see in Spain, actually, when Spanish hoteliers go to sleep, we see the Spanish hotels' prices on meta search sites via OTAs go down. So at night, the Spanish hoteliers get undercut when they don't know about it. We see it more in that country than anywhere else. But anyway, what we've got here is the undercut rate. So for 12 weeks, this group managed down how frequently they were being undercut by main OTAs, Booking, Expedia, and hotels. They went down from like 24% to, around 16%, something like that. And what happened to their conversion rate at the same time was really stark. So their conversion rate went up from about 3.5% to about 4.7%. So a massive increase in conversion rate. They didn't change anything. All they did was made sure the OTAs stopped reneging on the parity deal. Right? This shouldn't need to be followed up, but it was.
Is that applicable to one hotel or a hotel?
This was actually a group of about 60 plus hotels. So yeah, and often it is, the groups often have a larger issue because the groups have multiple revenue managers, and those revenue managers make deals and do things with the OTAs, and then they forget that they've set up a rate code that should have been closed down and whatever else. But just managing those things a little bit better can have a really big impact. Yeah, you never thought you'd come to a talk about how to do website, and it was, actually this is really key. Seeking high compatibility. So I guess two great tools out there at the moment are custom audiences from Facebook and Google remarketing lists. So if you have a guest who comes to your website, right, and you can identify them, you know for sure that, right, between Facebook and Google, they follow people like that, and they know a lot more data around that person. So what you can do is you can put code on your website that tracks who comes. You then, basically, Google then goes, okay, from those people I see, one, I can remarket to those people, or two, I can remarket to people who look like them, right? So from the massive data that Google and Facebook have, you can find lookalike audiences. So with Facebook, you can give them a list of email addresses, and they go, okay, we know 20 of those people have those email addresses. Let's find 20 other people who look just like them, behave just like them, and then we can run adverts to them. So the opportunity for very targeted marketing based on the people who actually visit your site or guests who've actually booked is a really great thing to think about. On property, so I mentioned that we've been going for a few years. One of the products we tested with a few clients at one point was something that I fear it never quite got enough traction, but hoteliers want to gather people's email addresses. I arrived at a hotel late last night. They asked for my email address. I didn't give it because I didn't want to, and because my assistant had booked it, I didn't want them to have my email as well. And often the front desk are reminded of this occasionally. So we built this little tool that would just look at the PMS and say, of all the guests who arrived this week, how many email addresses did we get? What percentage? Let's have a target number. And it's because until you have a target number, until you're tracking people against a number, it's hard to measure performance. But just making sure that the front desk staff know to gather emails, giving them a number, giving them a target, telling them they're doing well, can help that. But that at least allows you to start driving a direct booking and loyalty for next time. Visual storytelling, I think the best people around are doing that are Leonardo, well worth checking out their website. They've got loads of great content on their blog, videos and the like, on how to create great stories using images and visuals. I mean, you could do a whole talk just on that. I'm not going to. I recommend you go read about it instead. Personalized messaging. So this is actually one of our tools. We call it enchantment messaging. So we track the behavior of guests on the website, and we can tell, okay, this guest, they interacted for a couple of minutes. They looked kind of interested, but not very. This guest, they did a search for a 2-week stay in a really quiet period of the year. So this guest's really highly valuable. Okay, so when those guests are about to leave our website, and we see their mouse move to click and leave, we can serve them a message just before they go. And we can serve different messages to different people based on their behavior. You've probably seen these kind of pop-ups when you're on a retail website. And the reason why, even though we all find them slightly annoying, the reason why they exist is because they're really effective. So we see between 8 to 12% uplift in conversion rate with this kind of abandonment message. So there are many abandonment message solutions out there. We think that hotels need specific ones for hotels. And that's what that is. A better experience. So this is from the Hilton Honors app. So actually trying to improve the customer experience. A reason to book direct is that then you can check in via the app before you arrive. You can converse with the concierge on the app before you arrive. So again, real differentiators from booking via a third party that drive up direct bookings. Meta and instant booking. Anybody experimented with TripAdvisor? How have you found it? Are you a hotel? And how's the experiment been running?
It's not going very well at the moment. We are coming from Turkey, and it's not very good at Turkey at the moment. Okay, it's not yet having much impact. Yeah. So I think it's something we do expect to see a lot of growth in. Anybody else? I don't know if Instant Book by TripAdvisor. So again, other ways of driving direct. I think that we've seen the massive rise of Meta, and I think it's only going to increase. People want to be able to shop around from one place. So certainly it's something to experiment with, maybe different in different countries, different types of hotels. A price alert, so again, this is something that we've been doing in the airline industry for a while. So actually, leave your email address while you're on the hotel site. Leave your email address, and we'll alert you, we'll let you know if our hotel price changes. Right, so it's asking people for their contact details so you can get in touch with them, but it's giving them a very good reason to do that. Get an alert if we're about to change our price. And then this is price check, which is something I mentioned earlier. So this is addressing the number one reason why people come to the hotel website and leave to book elsewhere. The number one reason is they come, they look at your site, they want more information, and then they think, oh, it's probably cheaper on Booking.com or on Expedia. So I'm going to leave and I'm going to go and book there. Okay, that's 76% of people leave the hotel website because they think it's cheaper on an OTA. So all this does is it's a price widget that pops up and shows, on the mobile, here it is. This is the direct price, and here are the prices on 3 OTAs. And it gives that kind of meta-like experience comparison on the hotel's own website. And what we found with this is for medium-sized groups, anywhere between 10 and 20% increase in conversion, and for small independents, more like 20 to 30% increases in conversion. Because it just does something really simple. It addresses that reason why people are about to leave. And I think it's this kind of tool and various others just improving that consumer experience and thinking about
what is the consumer thinking right now that is leading them elsewhere? And there's loads of research out there about, what are they looking for? They're looking for photos of bedrooms. They're looking for pricing information. They want to have questions asked about local things they can do. Going through those surveys, looking at, do we tick the boxes on all the things we know our customers are looking for? Okay, so that was a quick run through why direct booking is important, why we think there's like this massive sea change going through the industry in the next couple of years, and a few of the ideas that you could be using on your website to increase conversions. I'm not sure on my time. I'm just going to have a look at the time. I don't see a clock. I don't have a watch. Okay. So and that was kind of the main stuff I wanted to go through. If you're interested, I can give you another 5 minutes on A/B tests and the dangers of A/B tests, because a lot of you may be doing tests and running tests on your website. Does this work? Doesn't that work? And it's a dangerous game. So I thought I'd spend 5 minutes on that. Sound good? Okay, great. We're on. Okay, A/B test. So there we go. So we're going to do a bonus to A/B testing, because it's something we're often A/B testing our products with hotel groups, and what we have noticed is that a few people actually have statistics backgrounds and have studied statistics at university. And the danger with statistics is because there's something about numbers, particularly if people see numbers with a decimal point, there's this sort of sense that, that number's right. And the thing about the statistics, and what we tend to find with a lot of A/B tests, is actually it's far from that simple. So for example, Google Analytics. I don't know if many of you use Google Analytics. Anyone? Google Analytics? Yeah, okay. So we look at a lot of hotels' Google Analytics, and I would say at least half of them are set up in a dangerous way that makes it very easy to misinterpret the results of what you see. And even if Google Analytics is set up really well, like on our website, we've used it for like 2-3 years, we still have basically quite a big distrust for their numbers. There's a lot of variability in the numbers, particularly when you're getting to large numbers, because of the way it's tracked. So my point is, even when you see this and you think, we've got Google Analytics, we know the data, you've got to take this kind of data with a large pinch of salt. There are so many reasons and factors why it is that someone goes to a web page and they click through so quickly that that page visit never even gets registered by Google, for example. So there are lots of bits of data that are slightly dodgy. A/B tests are great. You can have sort of, create multiple versions of your landing page and test it 50-50. And that's something we use a lot, right, when we're testing variations of what we do. So I thought I'd give you an example of where we were using an A/B test. One of our clients, in fact, was using an A/B test to try out our product, and they said our product just didn't work, wasn't very good. And so I thought I'd talk you through that experience, which was quite painful for me at the time. So there's this great group of hotels. They have like 100 hotels. It's a very prominent brand in Europe, and one that we were very keen to work with. So we ran a trial for them, they ran an A/B test, and at the end, someone reported back to me that this is what the client had said. We only saw a small increase in direct bookings. It wasn't the impact that you promised us. We want to end the trial. We like you, but this hasn't been good enough. I was very upset because I spent a year myself trying to get this client on board, and they ran an A/B and they found it didn't work. So what I did that weekend, so I remember this was on a Friday, so I was like, okay, over the weekend I've got to look into this data. I don't trust the data. I know the product works. There's got to be something wrong. They were using Optimizely, which is one of the best A/B testing platforms out there. And here you can see the performance summary. They ran the original, so that's like a control experiment, and then they ran 3 variations. One of the variations had an uplift of like 1%, one of like 0.2%, and one had a negative impact. And I've just not seen these kind of poor increased numbers. So I was like, there must be something wrong, there must be something wrong. And this is the thing, if you look at the numbers on the surface, you often don't get to the full story. So I started off looking, I think here, by segmenting the types of visitors. Because when you look at people in aggregate, you sometimes lose the message that you see in a segment. So I like to always look at how do people arrive at the website. Because if you think about how someone arrives at the website, sometimes you notice funny things. Like sometimes you notice a huge number of people are arriving from a certain domain, and that's because there was maybe there was a bot someone had like running at your website, and they were just like churning through the site. Maybe it was an advert that was about something slightly different and shouldn't be pointed there. Anyway, so I look at the referral, people who came direct to the website, but I found that was kind of interesting. I wasn't sure why that was so high. 15% increase. But then I look over here and I see, well, wait a second. We only had 4,800 visitors. So to see a 15% increase in something when you're only looking at 4,000 visitors, actually, if you're looking at a 95% confidence interval, that kind of variation and swing is just measuring effects. Like there's actually quite a small number of people to have in an A/B test. So that's lesson number one is, I was like, oh, okay, wait a second, I'm looking at these numbers. Really, you shouldn't really run an A/B test and take too much from it unless you're seeing 1,000, 2,000 conversions in each test, right? You need quite a volume. And I think people think, oh, well, if I've run 400 people at this and I see one is better than the other, then I've got the answer. But the point is, until you've got big numbers, you can't really read much into the tests. So I looked at the conversion rate over time. Maybe something funny had happened in the test and the conversion rate had changed. No, some discontinuity. No, there was no discontinuity. The conversion rate just went up and down, so I didn't learn anything from that. And then I was thinking about this chart. This is something, so I mentioned our widget which shows the prices, the OTA prices. It pops up after a little bit of time, right? So someone's on the hotel website, they see the price, the direct price is 100 euros, and then 2-3 seconds later, it pops up and shows, here's the comparative price. Now I know that the timeliness, the conversion rate is here in blue. The conversion rate changes massively depending on exactly the moment that we show that information. So it's very time bound, right? We know that we have to show it exactly the right time. Like half a second makes a huge difference in conversion rate. Okay, so I knew that. So I thought, oh, let me have a look. Maybe we're showing the widget really slowly or something. Maybe there's something funky going on. But actually, again, over time, the speed improved. The speed was actually really good. So it wasn't that. My point I'm trying to make here is I knew there was something funky going on in the A/B test. You then have to dive in and you have to really look at different segments and different things to understand, to get a fuller picture of what's happening. So then I looked at, okay, how about mobile visitors versus desktop? And I clicked on mobile and then I saw this. I was like, aha, now this worries me. We've got 3 experiments running here. One of them had a good uplift, but 2 of them had a really bad negative impact on conversion. So what we did, what Triptease does, my tool, this product that I have put so much effort into, seems to be having a really bad impact on the conversion, which at the same time is both scary but also exciting, because I was like, maybe this is where the issue is. So just to kind of explain, there was a control group, and then there were 3 tests. So as you can see, one of the tests went up. So the numbers are slightly different because the chart's gone off user sessions, not on ID. But the point is the same. The test, there are 2 pages on the hotel website that matter. The rooms and rates page, where you see a list of all the rooms and all the rates, and then also the hotel's details page, where you get detail about each individual property. And what we found was that when we were just displaying on the rooms and rates page, the impact was great. But when we displayed on the hotel's details page, the impact was really negative on mobile, really bad impact, right? And this is pretty scary. The client's been running for 1 month, and we've had a negative 25% impact on their website, right? It's pretty scary. So I don't know what you'd do in this instance, but my first reaction is I've got to go on the mobile site and have a look, work out what the hell it is that's going wrong. So this is the mobile booking site. This is what it looks like. You get the price, you click the price, and then you fill in guest details and you're on. And what we do is price check appears here at the bottom and it shifts everything up. Okay, so it shifts everything up and just appears at the bottom, our tool. But when I ran and had a look at the test, what I found was we were doing this. So the only button that you can press on this site that takes you to the next stage of the booking process is the orange one, and we were covering it up. Which, as you can imagine, felt pretty stupid and embarrassing. But I'm sharing my pain so that you can learn from it. And the learnings, which I can tell you a few people got hit over the head that week, were how do we not quality control this? I can't believe we didn't. I can't believe the client didn't. Mostly I can't believe we didn't. And how embarrassing it is. Now, the good news is, if you take out mobile, we saw a great impact. And I should say, because of the size of this group and the volume they do in revenue through their website, that is millions of euros every year that accounts for, right? So it's already a very good website driving good conversion, and that's going to increase millions. But as you saw at the beginning, right, they hadn't seen that number. they just saw the overall aggregate number and went, oh, your tool doesn't work. And it wasn't until we dug in that we went, no, the tool's going to make you millions of euros. There's no question about it. It's going to, save millions in commissions for OTAs at that level. It's just that we need to fix how it's working on mobile. So as you can see, if you take A/B tests on face value, you can very often get it wrong. And so one of the things we now do a lot more of, we used to, but it died off, is whenever we go live, we'll just get random users, everyday people, to walk through the booking process and record themselves as they do it. And there's a whole bunch of websites. This one, user testing. This is actually free. They'll get people to walk through your website for free and record themselves for free and talk about their experiences they're going through your website. Right? Now, what we've done in the past and we're instigating again is, for our development team, just doing this every week, even if it's a handful of people, it's not statistically significant, but just a handful of people who are walking through, and then we're all watching the video together and listening to how, Sarah tried to use this hotel website and her experience. And it just keeps that customer top of mind and what they're thinking about. And I think that is pretty much it. And Session Cam is another one that you can do a similar thing. And what we've done in the past is we've actually just hire people to do it. Anyway, I highly recommend it. It's a good way of checking you don't make the kind of mistakes we made. Key takeaway that is A/B testing. One, scale and volume. You've really got to be getting 1,000-2,000 conversions to get any value from it. And secondly, you've got to dig down into the data, look at user segments to make sure you're not misinterpreting the results. And that's the little bonus on A/B testing. Any questions, comments, challenges? Otherwise, we're kind of done. No? Silence? Okay, great. Well, that's it. Thank you.